So we have now NATO on high alert because of something that just happened in Poland. What does that actually mean for America? Also, we have Trump deploying troops and federal agents to the ICE facilities and actually winning. Now, what does this actually mean? And I've told you this before. Do we want to control the cities and make sure they're safe? Absolutely. However, is this going to be a slippery slope? What is to happen once, Trump and Vance and some of them don't win it? Can the Democrats use this to their ability? Is this too much of a slippery slope? Now, we're seeing success. We're seeing these cities being saved, but we're also seeing the liberals in those cities and leftists in those cities getting mad about them cleaning up the city. It's unbelievable. However, what we're seeing is something that I think will cause us more damage later on, because I believe the Democrats will use this as a slippery slope for control. That also leads me right into the next point of the slippery slope of control. There's an ex-intelligence officer that is anonymous, but what he says is absolutely unbelievable. We talked about these crises and chaos that happen that brings in a new situation, a new reset. A good chaos, good crisis can't go to waste to most politicians because they look at ways of control. Wait till you hear what he says, because it's actually lining up with what we're seeing with the NATO situation, the city situation, and dollars not doing well. We're going to discuss all these stories and a few more. Wait till you hear some of these other stories that we will be hitting on too. They're big. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Remember, check out my vlog channel. You see our life and how we live it out independently, sustainable, but also just vlogging our family on Life with Colby Mack. We have a new video coming out probably tomorrow on it, but go check out some of the old videos. You'll see how we live this prepping lifestyle and homesteading. Also check out Facebook and Instagram. I finally got put back on the platform. You can find me at Colby Mack or Real Colby Mack. Again, I'm always on Twitter with the Colby Mack. Our goal is to share as much information and the way we live our life with you as much as possible, so we can see a good community and see how we can grow together to be wiser and have a better common sense. Now let's jump into the stories today. First, let's talk about the situations with the cities, because I believe this is where we're going to really have a bigger impact. Now, I know we're going to talk about the high alert with NATO that's coming, but we also have high alert in our cities. Let's kind of go to some of these stories, because I think we need to bring them up. And this is what I told Misty last night. This is a slippery slope in two ways. And I think this is why Trump has been very, very cautious in actually putting troops in the cities. When cities like Memphis, even though Memphis is saying they don't want it, Tennessee governor says he's totally fine with it. We see what Washington, D.C., it got better. Now, we hear Chicago, Portland, Dallas, all these places are having major problems with ICE facilities. So Trump is saying, look, we're going to go in, we're going to go in, we're going to go in. But they're very careful, because when you put troops in, they're not there to police. They're there to obtain and conquer. So when you put National Guard there, what if something happens? What if all of a sudden one of these rioters gets really hurt? What if all of a sudden, all that plays into your mind. Now, honestly, I'm like, if they're breaking the law, who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares? But for the optics of the situation and the fact that if this is a slippery slope, if we do see Democrats come in charge, if we do see a church that's meeting when they're quote unquote not supposed to, what are we going to do? For instance, there's a new flesh-eating bacteria that's hitting our shores. Now, we're going to do a whole video on this. But all of a sudden, say Democrats want to shut down certain areas. Could they use this same justification to go into churches, go into homes, because they're so-called meeting and going against the law? You get what I'm saying. Now, I'm fully on board with Trump doing this. I'm just scared to see how they're going to utilize this for their own good. What I've learned is this. Politicians on both sides, for the most part, are not humble. They have no meekness. They don't have humility. And most of them want power. They're power-hungry, money-laundering folks. They just are. So if they can find ways to take the advantage from you, it's great, and they want to do that. What do you think taxes are? What do you think regulation is? All that is something that's going against you and your family and how you have freedom. So do I want the city safe? Absolutely. I talked to a lady yesterday emailed me, and she's from Dearborn. And she's this little white lady, and she's like, we've worried about this for a long time, so I'm glad you're bringing attention to it. And I'm like, it's so sad that this city once was a suburb of Detroit, and just, they said at one time was a pretty little city, and now it's just become this Muslim stronghold. And I felt so sorry for her. She felt like in her words, she sounded so defeated. And it breaks my heart. These cities need to be cleaned up from all forms of radicalization, from Islam, from Antifa, from other forms of just lawlessness. Like, I've been to Memphis, I've been to New Orleans, I've been to Jackson. Those are places that are closer to me. And man, they have such awesome things about them, especially New Orleans and Memphis. They have such cool culture, and there's so many uniqueness and right on the rivers, and so much passion to be an awesome city and thrive. But they're all absolutely worthless now because this liberal ideology and this leftist views have destroyed the cities. So do I want to see these cities cleaned up so my children can enjoy them? I would love that. But sadly, I don't know what the right answer is, because I believe if Trump goes in, it makes him look like, the dictator, and all he's trying to do is clean up for the people. But when you have the leftists and the liberals that are leading the city, that has actually put the cities in the chaos that it's in, they're complaining that they would rather just have the money and have the chaos versus actually have the cleanliness and the cities back on top. Isn't that unbelievable? How far have we lost it? I mean, there was yesterday, in front of the places where they were at with Chicago and Portland, the military came in with pepper bombs and paintballs and water cannons, and so basically it was allowing them to clear out, but not to a point of damage. I mean, it was a true win because they were able to control the crowds, and they took a lot of the stuff away. Like, there was one that's confiscated illegal weapons. I mean, that shows the dangers sometimes these people put in. But they took all the little boards away, all the glassing away, all this defensive tools that these Antifa rioters had. And it's weird. How do you think they got that? Is it George Soros? I mean, how do you think they all of a sudden have all the signs picketed right, everything's rope perfect? Because it's an established situation. They want chaos. Chaos brings regulation, and so government loves this kind of stuff. So, anyways, I digress. There was this lady though, when they got all the main rioters out, shows how so sad, how foolish, and how much of an idiocracy we have. They lit something on fire and danced like the Aztecs, a chant of Montezuma. And so they were trying to push some, weird spirit onto the ice facility. And I saw that for a second. I said, it's so sad that we're so foolish as a nation. And again, these kids, these people that are doing this, they said the average age, I mean, some of them are old liberal women and all that kind of stuff, but they said for most part, it's all like college age or a little older college or even some under. And so what it shows is, if we go back to the school systems, we would fix a lot of these problems. Because if you're teaching your children, like my kids, and this is nothing against, nothing just bragging on my children. It's, if you say a bunch of homeschoolers or a bunch of Christian educated kids, they're just not going to go picket and riot at something like this over illegal conduct. I don't see any Amish villages, picketing for illegal conduct. See, there's the difference. It's how you raise your family. And if you're raising your family or letting the government raise your family, they're going to program them into little robots of what they want. And that's exactly what we're seeing at these ICE facilities. This is a slippery slope. This is a very touchy issue. Yes, I want to see cities saved because they're like the little old lady that lived in Dearborn. Things are destroying these towns and these cities. Like, we used to feed the homeless in New Orleans, and it was just broken. It was just so sad because there was this big homeless places that we would feed, but there was normal people that just needed help because they lived in this area, and they were pretty much overruled and taken over in these little areas. And she says, I can't go out at dark because of the dangers of it. I can't go out before this morning because the dangers of it. These cities are falling to pieces, and until we get normalcy and thinking back in them, I'm scared you're going to see them just fall to pieces. And then if all of a sudden a Democrat gets in charge, I'm scared to see what the Republican cities are going to become. That's the scary thing. Now, before we get into the chaos and crises that they're talking about, I want to talk about Poland. There's a high alert just raised for NATO, and this scares me too, because NATO, they're kind of like these politicians. They love war. They want to go and destroy. The sad thing is they're using American taxpayers and American weaponry to do it. Most of the time, these other countries that get us into war, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like we're the muscle guy who goes to your school, the popular guy, and all of a sudden he has a bunch of nerdy, brainy friends who tends to get picked on a lot, and so then they start picking them back and saying, okay, we're gonna take you out, guys. We're gonna take you bullies out. And the whole time they're like, okay, come here, big dude. You gotta take care of us because we can't do it. We just like to talk, but we actually can't do nothing about it. That's kind of what we do. We allow all these little countries that are in the Western Alliance and NATO to be the nerds and get picked on, and then all of a sudden, throw a rock back and try to hit the bully, and then all of a sudden now we're involved in it. Because that's what takes place. It's a bunch of these small little countries that have no power without the United States. And I'm sick of these politicians and NATO putting us in these precarious situations. You know how America would benefit if we got out of UN, we stayed out of the WHO, and we got out of NATO. And not that we couldn't be friends with all of them. We could help where we wanted to, but it wouldn't be an obligated thing. Do you realize how close we are to going to war with Russia because of these drone attacks in Poland? Let me read you this story. Breaking: NATO is at war with Russia. The Kremlin just told Newsweek. It says Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov have said NATO has declared war because of what they're doing when it comes to provocation. This is from Maro Fall. It says Poland shuts down airports as NATO goes on high alert. Lublin and Rzeszów airports in eastern Poland just got shut down overnight. Both are major hubs in the western aid flowing into Ukraine. The closures come as NATO scrambled in response of Russia's latest drone and missile strikes. Now, here we go again. If we would just stay out of it, try to get peace like Trump was trying to do, instead of provoking and having this provocation to where we're feeding full of all this stuff. Now, if you listen to Trump's his rhetoric lately, he's trying to use leverage against Russia. He's speaking highly of Ukraine. He's speaking demeaning Russia. But it's all a part of art of the deal. It's all a part of negotiation, trying to make a place where they can have leverage to then speak to Russia once again. Putting pressure on India, putting pressure on China, putting pressure on these other countries that are buying fuel. Now, does Trump want war or World War III? Absolutely not. He has said that time and time again. But you allow NATO, you allow some of the Congress and the Senate, people like Lindsey Graham and Tom Cotton, these people that are like just licking their chops about going to war, man, you let them in charge, they're going to put us in war. So Poland is shutting down airports, but you hear why? Now, I'm not taking up for Russia. I'm just saying this. Do you hear it? Because of the aid that they were using to go into these airports to get into Ukraine. It all comes back to, they're not a NATO ally. Why don't we just draw the new lines, shut Zelensky up, and get out of this war? 1 million Russian Ukrainian people have died, they said. And they said, actually, that's just the numbers they have. It's probably a whole lot more when they actually get into the countrysides. What are we doing? We have to pull out of NATO, and we have to pull out of UN. Both of these bodies put us in very, very bad situations when it comes to relationships with Israel, but when it comes to relationships with the European Union trying to get us in war all the time. Can we help these people? Sure, absolutely. I have no problem helping people. But it should not be something that we're obligated to do. It should be something that we want to do. But to be honest with you, we got to get our own house in order before we do that. I mean, we have military in the streets and cities trying to keep peace because Democrats are allowing for chaos and crisis to take place. And this leads me to the biggest story of the day, what we're really talking about when it comes to control chaos and how they do not want that to go to waste. They want to utilize it for their good. So I want you to listen to this. Now, you see, we talked about the domestic problems we're having. We're talking about the international issues with NATO alert. I want you to listen to what this guy said. And this guy was used to serve in Intel. Again, very anonymous, but I'll just share what he said. And you can take it with a grain of salt, but something that I think we're seeing right now. He says, there will be 3 types of emergencies in the next 5 years. He He said, first, cyber attacks are financial or energy system solutions. They will always fall back on digital wallets, biometrics, and CBDCs. So what he's saying in this first point is there's going to be blackouts, grid problems. There's going to be issues with banks. There's going to be issues with how safe is MasterCard and Visa. So what they're going to do is they're going to uptick it. They're going to make it harder to get your password hacked. They're going to make it harder for cyber attacks. So what they're going to do, instead of you having this little cool password and you're using your little passcode, they're going to say, look, that's not safe enough. Use your phone number. You're already doing that. Now they're going to say, well, that's not safe enough either because you can have your phone hacked. So we've got to start using biometrics. We got to start using your facial recognition, your eyes, your fingerprints. Now, if you open a crypto account today, you have to get a biometric scan and you have to give some form of another ID, so such as a driver's license or a fingerprint. If you go into any kind of newer organic store like a Whole Foods, you can now scan your palm or scan your finger. You know, in Dubai, your friend Bill Gates is going ahead and starting doing facial scans to pay for goods without even touching your card. You see that ease of access is coming because what they're going to say is for your protection so your money won't get stolen. I mean, just think, if you have all this money in a wallet, it gets taken from you, it's stolen. If you have all this money on your accounts and all of a sudden you have this one little password protecting it or this little passcode that's probably your birthday, oh, it's dangerous. So we've got to look at different options. So, honestly, nobody can fake your face, huh? So let's do a biometric and let's do an eye scan. Now, long story short, remember, we just did a video of how AI was honestly changing the way people looked at their face. So instead of doing facial recognition for long, you're going to see eye scans and thumbprints because they can't yet fake that. So they're going to say it's for your good that we don't get in a hack. Well, what you don't realize is, remember, if we get in that cyber hack, that cyber attack, how good is a grid or some kind of computer, situation or telecommunication system that's been hurt? How good is that? Because we believe that we can get a biometric scan and eye scan. If the grid is hacked, then none of that stuff works anymore, huh? So is it really for our safety or is it for chaos and control? Because remember, Bill Gates is also doing a biomark scanner for your arm. So when they put these things in your arm, it also puts your DNA and your ID, your whole life put into that scanner where they can just barcode you, scan you like a QR code. That is biblical and that is some scary stuff. So let's keep on going with this. So that's the first one. He says second wave will be environmental emergencies such as climate problems. Climate has already been framed for this, for the existential crisis for the next 5-10 years, and you're going to see more pilot programs still affect. So you see Trump pushing back on it, but what did they say this week? I'm going to read this story that just came out. We're seeing the tech on our oceans because of dangerous shellfish being affected by this new bacteria that cannot be solved. Also, we see meat allergies happening with this, these animals you can't eat anymore. They're bad for the climate too. So let's find other ways to make food. Now, we think we're pushing back on it because Trump and RFK is doing a phenomenal job on those aspects. But UK is pushing further and further for this, and so is most of the world. And that's why I say, again, get away from UN, NATO, because a lot of these countries are absolutely going against America First policies. So why are we even involved? So we say, okay, the digital thing, so we're going to do biometrics. Well, if the grid's going down or cyber attack happens, how safe is our biometrics? Number two, if we are worried about the climate, well, we're seeing all these hurricanes and tornadoes. Yeah, that's bad. That's caused by climate change. Actually, it's probably not. It's just that gives them an excuse to not let a crisis go to waste. And all of a sudden you see, well, we don't need to do regenerative ag because we see that shellfish is causing some kind of flesh-eating bacteria. We see that meat is causing some kind of major allergy. It's all dangerous for you. So let's stay away from meat and go completely vegan, and we make sure that we grow these in some kind of big manufacturing hubs and GMO crops because we don't need you to eat this stuff that's causing damage to your body. It's also causing damage to the world too. So let's get rid of cows and shellfish. You see how they can use anything to manipulate you. And I know you think, well, Colby, that's so far-fetched. That's not happening. It's absolutely happening. UK just said that you will have to get on digital IDs and CBDCs within the coming year, or you'll have no access to your own money. What this was a way to get your biometrics, your digital ID, and also all your scans to make sure that if you're doing something that they don't like, they can take your money away. They can take your power away. They can take your freedom away. It's already happening. There was people locked up for Facebook posts that they found because they knew they wasn't a fake account, because the digital ID put them to their social media page. Officers showed up at their house, and guess what? Now they're arrested for a Facebook post and a Twitter post and a YouTube video. You don't believe it's happening? It's happening. You know, again, on this this whole situation with the chaos, there's a lady that tried to sign. You know, I love Aura. I do an Aura ad every week, and I believe in them. There's a lady in Canada, you said yesterday, said, we can't sign up for Aura. Your codes don't work because they won't allow us to have that, because then we may find out more truth. Whew. That's sad. So that's number 1 and 2. Number 3, listen to what he says. He says, number 3, the third wave will be financial reset. Just like what we've been talking about. People must be desperate enough for inflation, debt, and food scarcity. Inflation's still high across the world now, not just in America, across the world. Debt is skyrocketing, and your Congress and Senate keep spending more and more and more. The dollar is struggling, gold is skyrocketing, which means there's some volatility there. Everybody's moving towards crypto, and what are they doing? They're getting your scans already. When times get tough, food gets tough, medicines get tough, what have we been talking about the last few days? Then the more you will allow the government to do whatever they need because you want to feel a form of safety. In America, that's one thing that we have gotten completely wrong. Because of all the convenience, all we want is to feel safe and secure. I walked into a store yesterday. I'm out of state. Walked in a store to pick up something. I can't remember what I was picking up. And the first sign out there says, no deductibles, no cost to you, and it said all these different shots. I mean, it was like a list of like 10. Because everybody's scared to death that something's going to happen to them. So now they're going to give you all these loads into your arm for absolutely free. From the age 1 to your 85. Does that make you feel safe? See, it makes a lot of people feel safe, so that's what they do. Does it make you feel safe to eat all this food that the government tells you to eat? Yes, you want to. So all that dirty stuff like cow or beef is bad for you. If they can make you believe that, then they've already achieved their goal of full control of you. And next will be a financial reset. And then when you're in debt up to your eyeballs, like I'm sitting right next to 4 brand spanking new vehicles. And I promise you, not one of those vehicles I imagine are paid off. Based on statistics, it shows that people who borrow money to pay for a vehicle or buy new, most of the time can't pay for it in full. And if they got in a crunch, or insurance needed to be fixed, like something happened to it, they couldn't afford it. They have to buy some kind of gap or bridge insurance to cover the losses. Financial reset is coming easily, because if you put yourself in major debt and you put yourself in not in control and you're completely dependent, then guess what? Then you're going to say, please help me, government. And they're going to be the ones sitting there to help you. I'll leave you with this, and this is from Jordan Peterson. It says, Jordan Peterson warns of digital ID and the ushering of tyrannical regimes. So 100% complete, just like the book, 1984. It says, if a traffic camera catches you jaywalking in China, the digital ID system will convict you for jaywalking, take the money out of your bank account, and reduce your social credit score within the day. It says if your social credit score falls below a certain level, then you can't buy drinks from a vending machine. You can't go on a train. You can't get out of the city. They can lock you down. You see how that happens? How the more that you do right by the government, you're safe. Just like a regular little pawn in the system. But the more you defy, the more you're independent, the more you choose to do what you want to do, the less freedom you have and the more regulation you have. And that's exactly what they want with digital ID. Look at what's happening in India. Look at what's happening in China. There's a prime example. Keir Starmer just came out and Britain's going to it too. So they're going to be able to control more. The lady in Canada, that's what she was talking about. The guy over them right now, Carney, he is a great reset pusher. He was one of the ones on Agenda 2030's main board. And that's why they can't sign up for some kind of like aura for safety online. Because that puts them where the government can't come, spy on them enough. This is happening. Listen to this insider. Don't just put your head in the sand because Trump's winning and I'm wearing a Gulf America hat and everything's conservative right now. It seems like it is. But the dangers are all around us because the people we're supporting, the money we're spending, and our Congress and Senate are going to be our downfall. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Wait till you hear some of these stories. We're going to dive a little bit deeper in this flesh-eating bacteria that we just talked about because it's real. We've been doing a lot of research because we went out of town. And so, you know, you think about it, some of this area has been affected by it. We're going to talk about the dangers of it because it's not just what is causing it. It's the fact that, can you treat it? When our bodies become more dependent on medicine and then we learn to take the medicine, then guess what? Things get resistant to that medicine. Big deal. We're going to talk about that in the coming videos. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.